We're here with Gina Su. Gina, how we doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for coming on and connecting.
Yeah,
It's been cool to reconnect. Gina and I have known each other for years through a fitness company in San Francisco, and we got reconnected through the mindfulness summit here. So excited to connect, kind of see what's going on with you, and kind of hear about what's going on in your life.
totally. I mean, it's, yeah, 4 or 5 years. I've already moved away from San Francisco. I'm in LA now pursuing acting and continuing with my life coaching business. So it's crazy how Justin found me. And then I was like, wait, I know you. And it was
Yeah,
a perfect match.
we're old friends.
Yes, we are.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome, cool. Well, Gina, let me just read your bio quickly, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, Gina Su is a
Okay.
motivational coach who acts. You help creative entrepreneurs work smarter and faster. On days that you're not coaching, you're acting, auditioning, or filming on set. Tell us a little about the acting. I know you won Miss Asia, right?
Yeah, Miss Asian Global. I did my very first pageant 2 years ago. I used to be a competitive dancer, so I was like, I'll try this thing because that's when I had my coaching business and I was doing it full time. And someone said, you should do this pageant because at a pageant you have a platform that you can
Mhm.
share, one thing that you want to share with the world. And so I'm like, okay, I've done some dancing before. I've been on stage. Let me try it. I went through this whole like 2 month preparation, learning how to walk and talk and all that pageant stuff. Um, yes, I call this polishing the light bulb.
Oh, I like it.
You just kind of clean it a little bit on the edge. And then I won, and that threw me into a couple. I was interviewed on ABC 7 News, and I got to talk about my platform, and I just got really comfortable with sharing a story and also a mission at the same time,
Mhm.
which I'm doing now, which is acting and then my coaching business. And I'm so happy I get to do both.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And someone I interviewed earlier, he was talking a lot about how we don't have to be just this one thing. Like we don't have to be just an actress or just a coach. And it's been cool to everyone I've talked to so far has had this kind of spirit of they're following their passion and they're doing it in a way that feels authentic to them. And it's cool to hear you starting to combine those two as well into a lifestyle that works for you.
Oh, totally. And I spent I'd say at least 3 years wondering, should I merge it into one? Should I have two Instagram accounts? Should I have two websites? And I felt like I had this like double personality trying to
Hmm.
figure out what it was. And Marie Forleo, who's an awesome like online marketer and businesswoman, was like, everyone can and should be a multi-passionate entrepreneur because as humans, we just have multiple interests and that's normal.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I guess this is fine. And once I embraced it, it felt awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it kind of almost more embodied, or it kind of sinks in, and it's just you're not fighting, right? Like one of you's not going this way, and the other part's not going the other way.
Oh, totally. And then when people ask me like, oh, what do you do? I used to be like, I'm not sure, and try to say the one thing that would satisfy that one person. But now
Uh-huh.
it's like the life coach who acts. There you have it.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Awesome. Why don't you kind of tell us a little more about yourself and anything you want the listeners to know, and then we'll dive into talk about some wellness, and then we'll go into your tips around motivation and how to unlock some secrets around that.
Okay, awesome. About myself, so I was pulled into the self development world via Tony Robbins. Actually, I went to his event. I hired a life coach that I still have now. It's been almost 5 years that I've been working with her. We have calls once every 2 weeks, and it was really like she changed my life and
Hmm.
how to think and how to be mindful, take moments for myself, be aware of what I'm doing and what goals I actually have. And all that just, I, I honestly felt like I am enlightened. There's something new and different about the way I live my life now that I was like, I want to share this with other people. And actually, my first job was doing PR work. My second job was at the fitness company that we both worked at. And I just felt so unhappy because I felt like I wanted to make a bigger difference. Like
Hmm.
everyone needs fitness and everyone needs PR, but I feel like self-development and mindfulness is a global thing. And if everyone can sort of tap into that and give themselves more self-care and practice some more self-development habits. Like I truly believe, this is my pageant self coming out, I'm like, there would be more world peace
Yeah.
if we all took some more time to ourselves. So that's my answer. But yeah, life coaching has really changed my life and truly the lives of some of my clients. So I don't think I'm going to ever stop doing this. And also I have a certification in positive psychology, so I can bring in a little bit of the science and how your brain works. And it's easier for some clients to be like, well, I don't want to learn that like woo-woo, like meditative stuff. But then I'm like, hey, you know, thinking positively gives you longer years in your life, makes your marriage happier and last longer, and also makes you earn more money. So it's nice to have a science background too.
Yeah. Well, sign me up for that.
Yeah, right? It's proven.
Yeah. I had read recently, something, I forgot what I was studying, something about public speaking. And it was like, you got to talk to the left brains and the right brains. And for one group, you give pictures and stories, and another group, you got to give facts. And, you know, here's why it's going to help you. And I mean, that kind of sounds like what you were saying right there. And that's because we're dynamic.
Yeah.
We're not this one thing. And that seems to be the theme I'm getting from all the interviewees so far, is that we are dynamic. And there's a lot of self-care in that, like giving yourself what you love and giving yourself what you're passionate about. So how'd you get into the wellness and the life coaching world? Like, how did that become a career for you?
So sort of what I mentioned, like being unhappy in my first 2 jobs, and then my coach just like really bringing it to my attention that taking time to talk about what you want, where your aspirations are, is so important. Nobody does that. Typically, I mean, I do get a lot of clients who work in the corporate world, and they're kind of just in this, like, I call it the hamster wheel of doom. It's like you get into this hamster wheel and it's this rat race and you feel like you can't stop, but you also forget that you can get off that wheel
whenever you want,
and you can pause and jump back on it, or you can go find another wheel, or you can be a hamster who doesn't run in wheels. Maybe you, I don't know, have a fitness business. So I was definitely a hamster stuck in that wheel. And when I learned that I was able to get off it, I was like, I want to help other people see that there are these options. And honestly, like a lot of times nowadays, especially our generation, is so hooked on career defining who you are. But I think being able to see that like life is just life. You can honestly do whatever you want. You can really do whatever you want and travel and start your own business, and it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
And life coaching and mindfulness helps you understand that it will be okay. And then you just get the guts to take risks and make mistakes and maybe build the career of your dreams. So, yeah.
Cool. I mean, yeah, you and I have a similar story with that of, I think, you know, I started in the corporate world, and I was a mess. I was miserable. And I think it's so important to model that you can get off that wheel whenever you want, but most of us aren't taught that. Or we hear it and we're like, well, I don't understand how I would ever make money if I didn't have a 9-to-5, and if I wasn't killing myself, you know, for my employer. It's like, well, that's one way to do it. There are other ways. So it's cool to see you stepping out and starting to show people and teach people that they don't have to do it one way. They can do it any way, is kind of what I'm hearing from you.
Totally. And it's so cool. Like, you did it before I even did. And I'm so grateful for people like you and other like online marketers and YouTubers who led the way and took those risks first. Because I was like, oh, Nick has a brand called Big Yogi. That's so cool. It's his own thing. And I was just an employee at a company. So yeah, thank you for taking that leap. And, you know, if all of us do what we want to do, it trickles down.
It does.
And you spread that energy with others. So yeah, I'm grateful for you.
You know, and something I remember looking back now is like, you went from like, you were an employee at a fitness company to like, you were a full-on coach. And there was almost like, correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't much of a gap between those two. It was kind of like you walked in one day and you were like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm now Gina Hart and I'm now coaching. And it was like, and then, you know, and then I think within a short period of that you left the company and like you went on your own. Like, is that correct?
Yeah, that's totally correct. And I also give a lot of thanks to my own coach, who was like, if this is the path you want to take, every time you get in an Uber, you have to tell the driver that you are a life coach, not someone who works at a company. And I was so scared to say, and she's like, just say it. You might not see these people ever again. You know, when you meet someone at a random networking event, just force yourself to say it. And
Yep.
that's what brought me to like come back to the company and visit everyone and be like, oh, I'm a life coach. And it obviously feels like imposter syndrome for a little bit at first, but then you just get used to it.
Fake it till you make it, people.
Yes.
That's it.
Totally.
The first time I coached someone, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no clue.
Oh my gosh. And that's the thing. We feel like as humans, we want to move forward once we feel like there's certainty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll do this if I know I'll achieve it. But that is not how entrepreneurship works. You basically just know that you're going to fall flat on your face and you have to take that step anyways. And it's a horrible feeling sometimes, but you know, you get used to it.
Start to like it.
Yeah, it's like fitness. It's like there's pain in it. It's not always fun and comfortable.
No, and what was once your workout then becomes your warm-up, you know, over time as you start to get good at things and you start to develop skills and tools. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that saying. Is that
Feel
your
that.
saying?
So that's my new one.
Oh, you gotta quote that.
That's cool. I'll quote it. So what you know, what's self-care mean to you? Like how do you with your busy schedule and taking care of others, how do you find time to still make your health and your happiness a priority? Because I can see it when I look at you that you do that.
Yeah, you know what? A spa membership. That's one thing for me specifically. I signed up for a spa membership that it's paid monthly. And then when you don't go, that month rolls over to the next month. And that's one of my biggest tips that I have for everyone is you have to schedule in your self-care just like it's a meeting, just like it's a non-negotiable. And when I did the spa membership, I was like, well, I don't really need to go this month, but every time I go, I really enjoy it and I take that time to think and rest. But I think self-care means two things for me and also for my clients when I explain to them. One, it's your selfish wants. Like if you want to sit on the couch and watch a movie for that night, by all means, go do it or go travel or pick up a new hobby. Like that time is for you to have like Nick's life moments or for those watching, like your own life moment, nothing career oriented. And then the second thing I think self-care is, which is kind of the opposite, is when you let yourself rest, you bring your energy down to 0% and you just have that 0% to you. When you get back to your work, you can get back at it at 100%. And then your work is so much more productive and you're so much more focused and present. And a lot of clients I work with when they first see me, they're pushing all the time at 60%. With no breaks, no self-care. It's like 60, and they're frustrated and they have to pick themselves back up and they're uncomfortable all the time. And then they wonder why they burn out and then keep forcing themselves to be at 60 when if you take some zero time, you enjoy life, you frolic in the flowers, and then you come back at 100, you have that awesome like ebb and flow and you'll actually like enjoy life, which is going to make you enjoy work.
So it almost sounds like this sense of being selfish.
Totally.
My self-care is my selfish act, and I don't mean it as that way, but almost like I'm going to do this for myself. And then as a result, that's going to then improve my life and then probably the lives of other people around me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I always think about this way, like if Oprah wasn't selfish and like went for the work she wanted to do rather than being a news anchor, we wouldn't have Oprah. So for like the people listening, like be selfish, do what you want to do because one day you're going to open so many doors for other people. And it does start with self-care and scheduling it.
And scheduling. Yeah. And there's this, I'm hearing this piece that there's a Buddhist teaching. It's like, be selfish to be selfless. And to me, that's Oprah. Like that, there it is.
Totally. And if the listeners think about every single one of their mentors, if it's, I almost said Tony Stark. It could be Tony Stark, Tony Robbins, or Mark Zuckerberg, or Brendan Burchard, anyone who you look up to, they have taken some time to be selfish, and then they can be selfless and give back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. I think that's a message that needs to be out there, and shown and modeled.
Yeah, for sure. You will see me at the spa every month.
We just need to get you on an ad campaign now for the spa, and then
Yeah.
we'll put it all together.
I'm always worried like whether I should mention the name of the spa or not, but pick any spa.
Pick the spa that's right for you.
Yeah, if that's what you like. If not, if it's camping, if it's taking some time to read, swimming in the ocean, or just like literally, it's okay to sit on your couch for a little bit and watch cat videos.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Not too many cat videos.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Awesome. So how do you, your topic is 3 tips for motivation and secrets to unlock that.
Yeah.
So how did walk us through that and kind of teach us these myths and secrets, and hopefully I'm going to continue to learn through all these interviews, so I'm excited to see what you got. But yeah, let us know kind of your master tips to motivation.
Okay, awesome. So my segment is 3 myths and secrets to get you super motivated right now. And the first one is a myth. This myth about motivation, I feel like a lot of people who haven't yet really gotten into self-development probably feel this way, that they're waiting for motivation to come to them.
Mm-hmm.
And the myth is that's not true, and you shouldn't do that. In fact, you can create motivation. And I like to call it the motivation fairy. She's this terrible little fairy that comes by and just pops into your apartment or your home and sits on your shoulder, and she throws this magic fairy dust on you, and all of a sudden you just out of the blue feel motivated and you want to get a lot of work done. And then one day she'll probably leave without saying goodbye, and she's gone, and you don't know when she's going to come back, and you're sitting there frustrated, not feeling motivated, and not knowing what to do next and how to pick yourself back up. And I like to tell people, the motivation fairy does not exist. Do not wait for her to come back, because you can create motivation on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so that leads me to number 2, which is the secret. And the secret is that you can create motivation with the cycle I'm about to share. So this old cycle that you have, the acronym that I have for it is MAI, which is motivation, action, inspiration. This is like a cycle, and after you go to inspiration, you come back to motivation. So too often people are waiting for motivation to happen. Mm-hmm. So let's say the motivation fairy visits you. Oh, suddenly you have a burst of motivation, and then you start to take action. So you start to get your work done, and then you feel inspired, and sometimes you feel good about yourself. You're like, okay, I got this. And then the cycle starts over. You get back to motivation, action, inspiration, MAI. So that's the old cycle. But if the motivation fairy doesn't exist, mm-hmm. and you're sitting there and you're like, I want to start a business, I want to lose 20 pounds, I want to quit my job or get a raise or whatever goal you have, or your New Year's resolution. And motivation is number 1, M, at the beginning of the cycle. If it doesn't come to you, like, what are you going to do about it? And that's how a lot of like entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, anyone uses the word stuck. Like, I feel stuck.
Yeah.
So my suggestion, the secret, is to shift that cycle and shift it to aim, AIM, to aim and to focus. And so just take motivation, extract it from the beginning of that cycle, and put it at the end.
Okay.
So now the cycle reads AIM, action, inspiration, motivation. So anytime you're feeling stuck or sluggish or don't know what to do next, you take action first. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking about like the tiniest baby steps. I have this concept I teach at my workshop called Take Off Your Pants. And this concept is, I use it mostly for people who want to lose weight and have like a healthy fitness regimen. Mm-hmm. If they've never worked out before, they don't have to feel like, tomorrow I'm going to start working out once a week doing high intensity for 1 hour and going to this new gym I've never been to before.
Too much.
Yeah, way too much, right? It's just, it already feels daunting. My
I own a gym and I'm like, I'm scared. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot.
see, you guys are hearing from the expert. Take off, don't take off more than you can chew. And so the take off the pants method is like, let's say you work out in the morning, wake up, take off your pajama pants, and put on your gym shorts.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to do. That's considered action, that tiny little thing. And maybe the next day, take off your pants, put on your gym shorts, and walk to your door and open it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to step outside, but just open it. And then, you know, as the day goes by, take off your pants, put your gym shorts on, open the door, get in the car, drive to the gym, step into the gym, do one weight, do another. And then slowly but surely it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the secret, is motivation is a habit that you can build, not an emotion that you have to wait for. So when I learned that, just this magic light bulb went on, and I'm like, I have control over this. And I think the best successful entrepreneurs, millionaires, people who have like reached the peak of their, you know, performance capabilities,
Mm-hmm.
have learned how to harness motivation and create it on their own.
It sounds like what you're saying is don't sit around and wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying go out and create it.
Totally. And there's so many tips and tricks. Like, I'm only sharing one with this my to aim sort of cycle, but there's so many more, and I'm sure you have some of your own tactics to like pick yourself back up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You know, and it's some of it is, and you know, from my yogic philosophy, it's the same thing. It's like you're stuck. Move, create action. You know, fire it up a little, and then that will lead you to this place of balance or you know, less. But it's like, and then if you have too much action, if you have too much constantly going, like you were saying, then how my action may be to actually do less, and that can be a really challenging thing too. So it's kind of cool. We all say the same things, but just with our own spins, so that different people can hear it.
Totally. I'm so glad you brought that up, because when you go too much action, then that brings you back to self-care. You can like pull yourself back so you can, you know, rest and get that 0% that you need to build back up. So yeah, it's funny. We do all have the same message, just different ways of delivery.
Always.
You do you, boo.
That's it. That should be our slogan. You do you, boo boo.
I know. I love when I first heard someone say that, I'm like, that is genius.
It's great. What do you mean? You do you, man. Whatever. Do you, boo boo.
Yeah, totally. And the very last one, and I'll make it quick. This is another secret, is a vision board of pain. And I call this one a secret because a lot of self-development is mostly about positive reinforcement. Like, what are your goals? And create a vision board. And what are the things you want? And like attracting all that good stuff, which I love. And that's my background, is in positive psychology. But sometimes, as we all know, when you get yourself out of your comfort zone, it kind of gives a jolt to your body. So for those listening, if you're having a hard time getting motivated, try doing the opposite thing. Rather than like seeking all the pleasures of like the goals and your hopes and dreams, go towards the pain. And this is what you have to do. A vision board of pain is just imagining yourself 20 years from now and nothing has changed. Mm. So let's say you are 25 and you stand in front of the mirror and you imagine that you're 45. You have maybe a couple more wrinkles and maybe some white hair showing, and you're staring at yourself and nothing in your career and life has changed. For example, you can be like, I'm still single. I'm still living in a tiny apartment. I never got the raise I wanted. I never got the guts to do the public speaking event that I wanted to. I never started my business. I never tried to go for my dream job. I never lost that 20 pounds. I never travel to Africa or Europe or wherever you want to be. Just think in 20 years, you're still who you are now. And just like, let that kind of like disappointment and realism like set in and settle into your system, and think about all all the voices you hear in your head, like your family saying, wow, you know, she had a lot of potential, but 20 years later, nothing has happened. Or like, wow, I thought she was going to go somewhere, but she never did. That's too bad.
Mm.
And when you let that like shock of like, no, I will not stand for that. I want this better life. I'm willing to walk straight into the fear and fall down on my face and make mistakes and take risks. Those little things are so much less daunting than you in 20 years having done nothing at all.
Yeah.
So that's like a fun exercise. It's not fun. It's usually uncomfortable, but it's helpful and it jolts people awake a little bit.
Yeah, in a sense of, I mean, getting in touch with reality and getting in touch with and feeling and painting a picture of what life's going to look like if you don't make change. And like, so that might be uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It doesn't mean that it's something that we shouldn't explore. So I really appreciate the fact that you're saying, you know, let's look at the positive, but let's also look at the negative, and then use them both because they're both tools.
It's like, what happens if you don't do aim and take action first? You might just be waiting around forever for that motivation fairy and wishing you had some strategies to get yourself going today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hashtag don't wait for the fairy.
Don't wait for the motivation fairy. I'm like, is this too silly of a story when I'm like putting it into my workshops and teaching it to people? But a lot of people remember it and they're like, oh, that motivation fairy.
Yeah.
She's so lame.
Because,
they love her.
you know, at first it's like, where are you going with this? And it's like, no, we all do that. It's like you sit around and you're like, come on, where is it? Like, come on, God, like give me something. And it's like, God's like, you go do it. Go, you know, I mean, it works.
Yeah. And what they really do give you is time. You know, they give you a lifetime and you get to figure out what you want to do with it. So if you keep waiting, you'll just use up your time. Yeah.
Deep. Yeah. I love it.
But still fun. Still fun. Motivation fairy. She's awesome.
Love it.
Don't wait for her. She's not cool.
Any other tips? Any kind of like high level tips or takeaways you want us to get before we say goodbye?
You know, one that I just discovered for myself that I'm loving, and this is a little bit different from everything else, is plan your day the night before. Like, get your apartment and your office all cleaned up right before. I use a Google Calendar, so schedule your day and exactly what you want to get done the night before. If you decide you're going to work out tomorrow, like, pick out your gym clothes or at least know what you're going to do. Like, are you going to watch a YouTube video at home and do a workout? Are you going to go to a gym class and what time it's going to be? Because I realize a lot of people waste a lot of energy like deciding what they're going to do, and also energy trying to fall asleep feeling anxious about like what's to come. So if you just prep everything in advance, you can go to sleep super well rested and excited for the next day ahead, and then you wake up and you just execute. You have so much more time to have this creative space and like have a more relaxed energy to work at your 100% and be more productive. I used to do that loosely, but now I'm like really strict about it, and it's worked wonders for me. So it's a new tip that I've learned that I hope you can try, and people who are listening and watching can try too.
Cool. I love it. And how can we get in contact with you and anything that you have going on that you want us to check out?
Yeah, for sure. So I am Miss Gina Su, at everything. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MISSGINASU, no E. It's the Asian Sue, not the American Sue. So my website is also ginasu.com. MissGinaSu.com. And I have a program coming up, so stay tuned, join my newsletter. Starting in January, I'll be releasing one video a week. It's going to be on YouTube and Facebook, on all those platforms basically, and just sharing fun tips and tricks every week. So awesome. Yeah.
Love it. Cool. Well, thanks so much. It's great to see you thriving and being vibrant and going out there and changing the world through the way that you want to show that and the way you want to have impact. And it's really inspiring to see that you're out there doing your part, and it's just great to see. So it's awesome. So thanks for spending time. Appreciate it, and keep on sharing the message of the motivation fairy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to catch up with you too.
Awesome.